Welcome back to Open Window Politics. Today we're going to be doing a prediction between Governor Andy Beshear, the current Democratic governor of Kentucky, of course on the Democratic side, versus the current vice president and most likely Republican frontrunner for the 2028 presidential nominee on the Republican side, being J.D. Vance, the current vice president. So right here I've got all the safe and likely states characterized. It looks like there is actually one more district. There we go. We're still missing 3 likely, so we'll be going through each of these. Going through each of these and doing the likely to lean and then finally tilt predictions. So as you can see, this is generally a much better map for Democrats. There are going to be, I've done the Democratic likely states. I'll do the Republican likely states next. I don't think there are going to be quite as many as there usually are, but for now we're going to go with a likely state. I do think that Florida is probably the most likely to be in the likely column. This Governor Andy Beshear is definitely more of a moderate. He had to be that way. He had to portray himself that way to have a chance at winning in Kentucky as a Democrat. As you can see, Kentucky is a safe red state, so it is no easy task. So he's had to kind of play to the middle, and he's done well in Kentucky, which is very impressive that he was able to win in a safe red state. There are some voters who come out to vote only when it's a presidential election year, and I do think that Andy Beshear would probably be able to win re-election as a governor, but I don't think that he would be able to even narrow down the state of Kentucky. That is going to be in the safe column, so it is still in the safe column. And then we've got a few other likely. I do think Alaska, probably in the likely category. And then Ohio, I'm going to put that in the likely category. So that brings us to 209 to 171. I do think there are going to be a couple in the lean category. We'll stick with the Republicans and do the lean red ratings now. I think that Texas will probably be, if these two people were the candidates with the current political landscape, it would probably be in the 3 to 5 point range, possibly more. But for now, I'm going to put it in the lean category for Texas. And then I do think that Iowa also in the lean category. I do think it would narrow up. J.D. Vance and Andy Beshear are both from the Rust Belt. Andy Beshear, of course, is from Kentucky, and then J.D. Vance was a former senator from Ohio, and both have connections to the region. So I do think that just with the general favorable landscape for Democrats at the moment, some of these states are going to be looking a little bit different than they usually do, especially with very electable candidates such as Andy Beshear. So that is going to be 46 more electoral college votes for the Republicans. So that brings us to 209 to 217. I do think there will be some lean Democratic states. We're going to go with the state of Minnesota, New Hampshire, and then Maine. So Maine, I do think there's actually going to be, we'll come back to I can't remember which district it is, but one of them, the rural area of Maine. So that is going to give us 225 to 217. Democrats, Andy Beshear taking the lead. I do think, there's going to be one more in the likely column, that being the first, or I can't remember which district, but this district here in Nebraska, that is going to be in the likely column. Come back to the district here in Maine. So that brings us to 218 to 225. We've got the core 7 swing states as well as 2 congressional districts. So the district here in Maine has elected a Democrat to Congress, but is fairly consistently voted for Republicans on the presidential level. So I do think it would narrow up, but I think that just with the general Republican appeal in the area, I do think it would narrow up, but I do think if I were to call it, that it would still be in J.D. Vance's column, even though Andy Beshear is very electable. So that brings us up to 219 to 225, and then we'll be going through now we've got the core 7 swing states as well as the swing district there in the Omaha, Nebraska region. So I'll start out just like usual on the West Coast and we'll end in the East. So I do think that the state of Nevada most likely is going to be in the lean blue category as well. I could potentially see it. I'll go with tilt. I do think I'm going to go with tilt characterizations for all of these swing states, because really they could go either way. We'll have to see if these two people actually end up being the candidates. I'm not predicting they will, just a fun hypothetical. But for now, I'm going to put the state of Nevada into the tilt blue rating, so 231 to 219. And then Arizona, I'm going to put Nevada into the lean, and then Arizona in the tilt. Biden was able to win Arizona in 2020, and now is generally a favorable environment for Democrats. I don't know if it's quite as favorable as 2020 or 2018, but Democrats lost quite a few races in 2020 as well. But for now, we're going to go. But Biden, of course, was able to win Arizona on the presidential level, so that is going to be 11 electoral college votes for Andy Beshear. I think Andy Beshear is probably even more electable than Biden. So Biden is generally regarded as a little more progressive compared to Andy Beshear. They both definitely play to the middle, but I think that Biden proved winning Arizona is possible. They've also elected quite a few Democrats on the state level. They have 2 Democratic senators as well as a Democratic governor. We'll have to see what happens in the midterms. I think they have a couple elections coming up in this year in 2026, so we'll have to see what happens with that. Then I'll go down to Georgia now. I do think Georgia is going to be in the tilt blue column as well. The state, Biden was also able to win it, and it didn't shift as far to the right as it did go to Trump in 2024, but it didn't shift as far to the right as many of the other swing states did. I do think in the long run, the Sun Belt is going to become increasingly Democratic supportive. It's going to be open to electing more Democrats and giving them their electoral college votes. So that is going to be 16 votes for Andy Beshear. And then we get to North Carolina. I think that Andy Beshear has a chance in it. It went to Obama in 2008. I just don't think the environment is quite good enough for Democrats at the moment to result in a election where North Carolina ends up in the Democratic Party's column for now. Like Georgia, I do think it will, as time goes on, shift more and more into the Democratic Party's column. But for now, I do think it would be in the tilt Republican column. So that's going to be the first swing state J.D. Vance is able to win. And then we will get to the district here. Well, I'm going to do lean, actually, for the district here in Nebraska. This is the Omaha region. Even Harris was able to win it in 2024. So Democrats know it's largely projected to be a seat that will flip in the House in 2026. So that is going to be one more electoral college vote for Andy Beshear. So J.D. Vance is at 235 to Andy Beshear 259. And then we've just got the Rust Belt states left to characterize. So I'm going to go with tilt for these 3 Rust Belt states. Wisconsin I see as probably the most likely to end up in the Democratic Party's column. This state was pretty close in 2024. Of course, it did go to Trump, so that should be noted. But for now, we're going to go with tilt blue rating for the state of Wisconsin. And then that leaves us with 2 remaining states, Michigan and Pennsylvania. And generally, the Rust Belt votes together, so I'm going to put the state of Michigan and Pennsylvania together in Andy Beshear's column. So that brings Andy Beshear to 303, to J.D. Vance's 235, so definitely good election for Democrats. We've seen a couple states here narrow up, so feel free to agree or disagree with my prediction in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks, bye.